Page 40, Midnight Madonna. On page 38, they give you another project page, which is another way of saying a quiz. We'll cover that at the end of the video. Then on page 39, they talk about major and minor triads. Let's just cover it briefly. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that teach theory, so I don't get into music theory real deeply, but the book talks about it, so okay, I'll cover it a little bit. A triad is a three-note chord. Tri means three. Ad is an advertisement. I don't know what it is, but a triad is a three-note chord. The chords can be arranged in various ways. Let's take a C chord here. It's a triad. There's three notes. C, E, and G. We're in the key of C major here. All the white keys. I can rearrange it by putting the C on top. We call that first inversion. I inverted it. I turned it over one time. I put the E on top, second inversion. It's still a triad. It's still a C chord. When it's in this position where there's one note in between these, it's every other note. It's called root position. And that's important because you need to figure out what the root position is on a chord to figure out what the name of the chord is if you want to know the name of the chord. It's the bottom note in the chord identifies it. So this is a C chord, a C triad. Well, how deep do you want to get this? We're in the key of C major. It's using the notes in C major, therefore it is a major triad. Now that doesn't work real well, because if I do a 2 chord or the D, that's a minor triad, but I'm still in C major, so that doesn't work. So I can't use that method. What we do is we count the half steps, the intervals. Remember intervals? This is a third, that's a third. Not all thirds are equal. We count the half steps. 1, remember half steps just between two notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 half steps. That is a major third. 4 half steps. Well, this 1, 2, 3, that's only 3 half steps. That is a minor third. It's 1 half step less. So if I have a triad made up of a major third and a minor third, it is a major triad. Now, for minor triads, I simply take the middle note and take it down 1. Now it's a minor triad, because now I got a 1, 2, 3. There's 3 half steps. That's a minor third. And this now is a major third. 1, 2, 3, 4. We just switched which major and minor. So major third, major triad, minor triad. It's the difference between them. Basically, you take the middle note and you go down a half a step on a major and you make it minor. And that's what it is. That's why I said here, well, in the key of D, because the bottom note's a D, it's a D chord. In the key of D, we have 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. So this should be an F sharp here. That's a major triad. But in the key of C, we don't have an F sharp. We got that. It's a minor triad. So we got major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. I won't get into diminished. I've got enough to deal with. So for our purposes, just know that if you have a major third in the bottom one is a major third, it's a major triad. If it's a minor third, it's a minor triad, and take that to the bank for now. That's good enough. So let's talk about Midnight Madonna. 4/4 time in the key of G major. Okay, starting with the right hand, we have these chords. It's a triad. It's a minor triad because in the key of E, there should be a G sharp. That's a major triad. That's a minor triad. You'll learn to hear the difference. So we have this chord first, and the next measure, it goes up here to a G chord, and the next measure it goes down to a C chord, and then up to a D chord. Remember the F sharp? There's an F sharp in G major. And those are the chords. Second line, you're up here, third finger puts you in this position, and you got these notes. And the last measure of the first line, you got to reach up with the little finger to get the E, and then here you clasp the hand. For that, then you'd repeat the second line again, and so reach down with your third finger, or you can lift up, whichever, to repeat. Third line, first measure is second ending here, and then reach up. They say here, I don't really care for that. I want to suggest a slightly different fingering here. It's a little more complicated. If you, on the third line, first measure, if you want to go from 5 to 3, you go right ahead. I don't care for that. So I am going to suggest on the third line, instead of 5, use third finger. You see the 8th note right in front of this, and the end of the last line, the last 8th note is a G here. You can reach up third finger and get that. And then 4, and to do a 5, 3, 2, and I'm back in position. And I did it all. And that's what I would recommend. And then we're up here for the third line here. Then the last measure of the third line, you're here. They rather than a third finger on the F sharp, they're saying bring the second finger up and use that. That gets you in position for what's coming up. For the next line, on the last 2 measures of the fourth line, you're here, and then you can go here, reach the second finger down, and thumb, and then cross over to the C here, and you're ready to do the DS, which is the beginning of the second line, the sign here type thing. And the last line's like the first line, you got the chords again. Work out the notes and the fingering, and then you can go back and get the rhythm maybe, Bunch of 8th notes at the beginning, the first line. First beat is at rest, so it's 1 and 2 and that's tied. So you gotta hang it on to it, and then on beat, then you have a rest, and beat 4, it's a quarter note. So real slow. So we're gonna go 1 and 2 and 3 and so slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, if you're still confused, take out the ties and play all the notes. So it's rest and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you have that 1/8 note on 3, and then you come up for the and of 3 because it's an 8th rest. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the rhythm all the way across the first line and the last line. Once you're comfortable with that, sort of, put the tie back in. You think playing the note, you just hang on to the first one. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's weird. And then the same thing with the G chord, next line, or next measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All the way across. The left hand may help out a little. Depends on the person. Some people it helps, some people it hurts. And I'll come back to the left hand in a minute. Second line, 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You see the 2 tied 8th notes in the middle? Again, if that's confusing you, take out the tie and play all the notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. They're all 8th notes. And then you just put the tie in. Hang on to that tied note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You do that. Half notes, I hope they don't give you a problem. Quarter notes, I hope don't give you a problem. Let's go down to the 4th line. You're up here. And the 3rd line, or the 3rd measure of the 4th line, a lot of numbers here, isn't there? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You got a dotted rhythm in that last measure. And then the last line is the same rhythm as the first line except for the last measure, which has a whole note. Okay. Left hand, let's look at this. Here, and then the next measure up here, and the next measure you're down here, and then here. Just kind of moving around. And then the second line, your G chord, down to an F, down to an E minor, and then C, and then the D7. You're moving around a little bit. Third line, let's go here. You're here, and then here, and then the E minor, and then you're down here. And if you're not sure what these chords are or what they are, what the notes are, spell it out. Start with the bottom note right there. This is the third measure, the third line. An A, an E, and a G. And you just work out the note one note at a time till you got it. And then next measure, and then next measure. Again, it's a B, an F sharp, and an A. Next line here. Now it's same chord except it's an E flat. Next measure, I say one, it's a 5, 2, 1 here. And then here. And then a same chord in the fourth or third measure except a C natural. And then up. And then the last line is similar to the first. So then we get this at the beginning. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. See the and there, the left hand is playing in that rest where the right hand has a rest, the left hand plays that. So if I put them together here, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So maybe that'll help you out, I don't know. Next measure, same. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and if in case that isn't quite enough for you, there's a repeat sign on that line, so you're actually going to play that line twice. You're just going to love it, yeah. Second line, here. Whole notes in the left hand shouldn't be a problem. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. See, only the left hand moved. The right hand's staying here. And you repeat that. However, let's go down to the third line. Here, here, and then here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and then you'd go back to the second line. By the way, while I'm thinking about it, on the fourth line down on the left hand here, I would recommend go ahead and use 4, 2, 1 here. So you can use 4, 2, 1 again, and then 5, 2, 1. It's a little easier. And for that, for the second chord in the second line, this C sharp, E, G, B, I still recommend a 5, 4, 2, 1 here. I know most people want to use third finger on the E. I still recommend this, and then this, and definitely 5, 4, 2, 1 for the third measure, the whole note. Don't use third finger on that E. So you work that out really, really, really slowly. However slow you got to go to get the rhythm, just count it out very carefully, because you can always speed it up. This is not a fast piece anyway. Now dynamic wise, you see the 1 and the 2, the MP and the P. That's the way this publisher does it. Other publishers, they would say MP-P, same difference. First time is sort of starting out medium soft, and you crescendo up. They don't tell you how much. I wouldn't go up to more than about a medium loud. Just go up a little bit. Don't get loud. So it's here. So the second measure, your medium loud. Stay there. And then come back down to, actually you're going to come down to a soft. Because when you repeat, it's soft the second time, or if you go on, it's soft. So come down to a soft. And the second time, you'd only go up to about a medium soft. You wouldn't. Then in the second line, you're soft. That's the right hand. Keep the left hand really soft. Third line, second measure, now you're medium loud. That's the right hand. Keep the left hand soft. Again. Now you crescendo up to a loud. Now, got a little problem here. In the third line and the second measure, you're starting medium loud here. And at the end of the line, they want you to crescendo. Well, that's going to take you up to loud. So in the beginning of the fourth line, you're loud. And then they want you to crescendo again up to loud. I'm already loud. So we make these adjustments. We take these little hints and we figure it out. They're not always real clear on what they want. So at the end of the third line, here where it says crescendo, come down, put a little decrescendo in the fourth measure, the third line here. Come down right there, down at least a medium soft, and then go back up to a medium loud. So you're medium loud on the fourth line. That's my opinion. Now you might think, no, I don't like that. I want to be something else. But I think medium loud is fine for the fourth line. And then I'm going to crescendo up to a loud. And that's the climax of the piece. That's the loudest part of the piece right there. And then in the last measure, I'll come down to a soft. Right there. So I'm not soft in the fourth line down. When I crescendo, maybe a medium soft is all, because I'm saving the soft for when I go back to the sign. Back up to the second line here. That's where I want to be soft. So you plan out these and you experiment with it. Then in the last line, the coda is the last line. Similar to the first line, except you don't crescendo. There's a retardando e diminuendo, rit e dim, slow down and get softer. We're going to go all the way down to a very soft, and we'll slow down some. And that last chord is very soft. And basically it's both hands very soft at this point. Yeah. So you work all that out and get the dynamics and things working out here. There's no staccato in this. So it says. You can add some, but it won't do any good. Now after you do the DS all coda, that is, you go back to the second line and you play the second line again. There's a note above the first ending there, or in the first ending, saying on the second time take the coda. So go ahead and do the first ending again, and then you jump down to the last line and play that. Then we add the pedal. Well, you're only pedaling a little bit. You're pedaling the first line, it's legato pedal. You're pedaling the coda, and the last line is legato pedal, and you're pedaling the first and second endings, those chords, to connect them. We want to connect them. We need the pedal's help for that. We don't need to connect any of these other chords because the right hand is taken care of. I mean, it's what we're listening to, so you can have a little silence in the chord. That's okay. Well, we don't want to pedal this because it would smear that all up. So legato pedal, I'm going to play the notes and then change the pedal or put it or whatever. The pedal lags behind the fingers is what I'm saying. So the first line, I'm going to play the note and then the pedal. I'm going to change it after I play the note in the next measure. So there's always sound. Then at the end of the line, I'm going to lift the pedal up with the hands, so there's a little bit of silence before I repeat. So the last measure of the first. Then I repeat that line, and then at the end of the line, when I go on, again, there's silence before I go to the second line. So the last measure of the first line, second time, and then gives a nice contrast between the full sound we had of the chords with all these overtones added to a nice clean simple sound of the second line. Till I get to the end of the line with the chords, push the notes down and then the pedal, and then change it after you play the notes, but lift it before you go on. That is, before I repeat, silence. This third line, I'm pushing the pedal down here and then here, and again a little silence before I go on, and then the last line is pedaled the same as the first, and that's the pedal. That's pretty much it. Let's try this out. As far as how fast it is, it says reflectively. Now you decide what reflectively is. To me, it's about as fast as I've been playing it. Everybody will do it a little different, and that's part of the beauty of it. That's great. So let's play it together very, very slowly. I'm not going to do the dynamics. I just want to check the notes and the rhythms with you. I'll give us 4 counts. 1 and 2 and ready and go, and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and repeat. 3 and 4 and. 2 and 3 and. 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. To the second line now. Take the first ending. 1, 2, 3. Now the coda. 3 and 4 and. 3 and 1 and. On page 38 there is a project page, which is what Noona seems to be calling a quiz. Something. I'm not sure. I haven't read the what do you do on a project page? I don't know. Maybe you do it all together. I don't know. Maybe it's a project you have to do. I call it a quiz. It's homework. Ugh. Let's go over it slowly as best I can as far as talking to you. Number one, a major scale is a series of what tones? Well, I'm not really sure what they're at. You can go back in the book. Somewhere they've used this definition in the book. But I can tell you from my own experience, a major scale, any scale, is a set pattern of whole steps and half steps. And that's how I define it. Number two, these tones divide into two sets of 4 notes each. These 4-note patterns are called what? Well, if you go back and remember, like on a C major scale, it uses all the white keys. They're presenting them with 4 notes at a time. They're called tetrachords. Tetra meaning 4 tetrachords. It's how Noona is presenting them. It's probably what they want, tetrachords. Number 3, write the pattern of major scale in terms of whole steps and half steps. And that's important because a major scale, any scale is a set pattern of whole steps and half steps. They're just different. I mean, some scales don't have any half steps. Some scales don't have any whole steps. But nevertheless, it's a set pattern. And in a major scale, you just go whole step, because there's a note in between. Whole step, half step, no note in between. Then whole step, half step. That's it. All major scales follow this pattern. Whole step, half step. Whole step, half step. And a minor scale has a different set of pattern. Write the order of sharps, and you get to put them down in there, and you can go look them up. They're a set order on the sharps. So you always follow. F sharp is first, the C sharp is always second. Then you have G sharp, and D sharp, and A sharp. Now you got all the black keys covered. Now you got to cover the white keys, because there's 2 white keys with no black key in them. So then we have a E sharp and a B sharp, or something like that. You can go look up the order. And then the flats are as a set order, but it's a different order, because the first one is always a B flat, and then an E flat, and then an A flat, and a D flat, and a G flat, and a C flat, and an F flat, to get them all. It just kind of went down the... You see the pattern here? Where in the sharps it was... That was number 5 in writing the flats. And then number 6, mark the half steps in these major scales. And you can, I used the, when I was taking theory in college, I would picture the piano keyboard in my head, because it's all laid out for me. And I could figure out whole steps and half steps by picturing this. So when they say a G down here, you can do any G. Then I just go up the keyboard and I can figure out which are whole steps and half steps from there. And the second one that starts with an F, again, if I can picture the keyboard in my head, and I know the scale, of course, then I can figure out the whole steps and half steps. But on number 6, the half steps here is between the B and the C, and between the F sharp and the G, and on the F here, second one, then it's between the A and the B flat, and the E and the C. Those are half steps, everything else is a whole step. Number 7, name the major key for each of the key signatures. Well, the first one is 4 sharps. So what key has 4 sharp? More importantly, as far as I'm concerned, is can you play the scale for that key signature? But that will tell you what it is. It's an E major. 4 sharps is E major. The next one is 2 sharps. Well, the treble and bass clef doesn't matter. The key signatures are, you're looking at sharps and flats. So in the next one is 2 sharps. You should instantly know that's D major. You should be able to do the scale in D major, at least 1 octave up and down. The next one is 1 flat, and that's the key of F. And the last one they give is 3 sharps, and that is the key of A major. And I suggest that you simply work on the scale. of the piece you're playing or pieces you're playing. And when I sit down to practice, at least the first time of the day, it's the scales and arpeggios I do first. It's kind of a warm-up, gets me into it. I don't sit down and do it every time I practice, but I try and do it at least the first time I sit down each day, because I sit down multiple times a day because I split my practice sessions up into chunks. I don't sit down anymore and practice for 3 or 4 hours at a time like I did in college. I might practice for 15 minutes and then go do something else. I come back and practice another 15, 20, 30, whatever, then I'll go do something else. I don't keep time. It's just I'll sit down and play for a while and then I'll go do something else. Number 8, any major scale can be changed to a harmonic minor scale by lowering what? The 2 degrees or 2 steps. Well, here, let's take, I don't know which is easier. Do you want to take C major and make C minor out of it? Or do you want to take an A major and make an A minor out of it? Because A minor is all white keys. The only thing is we leave the 7th step alone, so we're going to leave that. It's harmonic minor, that's what they say. So it might be easier to take A major, it starts here, and we lower the 2 steps. We lower the C, we lower the 3rd step, and then we're going to lower the F sharp down. Well, that's the 6th step. So we lower the 3rd and the 6th steps. So if I take C major and I lower the 3rd and the 6th step, I get C minor. That's the way it is. It sounds better if you play it one note at a time. However, that means you probably ought to be doing the minor scales on these key signatures too. I recommend with scales you go through and learn the major scales first, and then when you go through them again, because you keep going through them, you don't just do them once. Then after you know the major scales, then you can add the minor scales on. Now, there are different ways of doing it. You can practice the minor based on the key signature. So if I practice C major, then I'll go ahead and do the A minor, because it also has no sharps or flats. Or you can keep the same note and just change the key signature. So C major or C minor. Actually, that's the way I tend to do it, because I stay on the note and I just change the key signature. So if I'm practicing a C minor or C major scale, then I'll go ahead and do the C minor scale also. It keeps it straight in my head. It's the way I work. Number 9, the last one. Construct a melody that uses at least 6 successive notes of a scale and adds some accompaniment. You just knock yourself out with that one. I can't help you. You just have fun with it. If you're into improvising or composing, you're going to love this. If you're not, skip number 9. Yeah. And that's the project page for Unit 4.